Hi, this is Hear Her Sports, and I'm Elizabeth Emery. Today's guest is Stacia Suttles, aka The Natural. She is from the Bronx, New York, and is an amateur boxer on Team USA. At 5 years old, Stacia won an enormous trophy in martial arts, so has a long history in combat sports. However, she only started boxing in 2014. A year later, she made it all the way to the finals in the New York Daily News Golden Gloves in the Barclays Center. At that point, she got serious. She returned and won the Golden Gloves twice in 2016 and 2017. Stacia is also 2016 National Golden Gloves silver medalist, 2015 Metro champion, 2016 USA National champion, and 2017 International Gold and Bronze medalist. She is now in full-on prep mode for Tokyo 2020 Olympics at 132 pounds. We talk about having an Olympic goal, being relatively new to the sport, coming back from losses, signing with a modeling agency, women in boxing, making weight, motivating others, and a lot more. It was really fun to talk to Stacia, and I learned a lot about tactics and the importance of jabs. So let's get to it. Welcome, Stacia. It's really great to have you here, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Sure. I want to start out with, I read a quote that you said that you were born to fight.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've always felt that way, that I was born to fight, because I've always, been in martial arts since I was young. I did karate at the age of 4 and did that for 3-4 years. And then I did taekwondo until 15, 16 when I got my black belt. And the only time that I didn't do a martial art was when I went away to college for a year. So I've always felt like it since I was young, because I've always loved it. It was the one sport that I really loved. I played other sports, but it was always martial arts that I loved and always wanted to go back to.
Why did you like it so much?
I guess the main reason was because it was a single kind of sport. It's all on you. If you lose your match, it's because of you. If you win your match, it's because of you, kind of thing. I guess it was because of that. Basketball, I played that for all 4 years of high school. And I didn't like the whole depending on other players kind of thing.
I get that. That's funny. But fighting is definitely different than, say, doing a marathon or something. There's something particular about combat sports.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, martial arts, I feel like it teaches you so much in your life. It'll teach you a lot in the sport, but it'll teach you a lot outside of the sport. So I think that's another reason why I like it as well. Doing martial arts growing up definitely disciplined me and helped me to become the person that I am today.
What do you think martial arts teaches you that some of the other sports that you've done haven't taught you?
Not giving up, I think. I think, let's say for basketball, for instance, it's easy to give 75% of yourself, but if the rest of the team is giving 100%, then and you guys still win, then it's you're fine. But in martial arts, you can't really give up. If you're giving up on yourself, you're gonna lose or you're not gonna do well in your match, and it's gonna show, and everyone's gonna see it. You're gonna see it, and then also I think the aspect of going through ups and downs. I think all sports teach you that, but martial arts in particular definitely teaches you it in a harsher way. You go through ups and downs, and your downs are, they're really going to be seen. You're really going to see it. They're really going to be shown for you. And then it's, the way that you get back up from it.
Right. You were a really sporty kid. You've done a lot of sports. So how did that end up happening? Do you have a sporty family?
Well, I've always loved sports since a young age, but I think it's just because my dad, he's an army dad, so he's yeah, you guys aren't staying inside all day, and I was okay with that. And my brother also he liked doing sports and all that. So yeah, I don't know, I just always loved it. My brother, he had a skateboard when I was younger, and I would always steal it from him and skateboard and everything. And then finally I got my own, and I rode bikes since I was young and swimming. So I don't know, I just loved it.
Let's talk a little bit about sort of details about boxing. You got started pretty recently. You started.
Yeah, I started about 4 years ago, about 4.5 now. And yeah, I just started because, like I said, when I went away to college, I wasn't doing anything, and I'd gained that freshman 15. So when I came home, I was all I was doing was working retail, which I didn't really like too much, but I wanted to get back into a sport to kind of ground me again, get me back on I guess kind of a schedule. Even though when I first started, I wasn't particularly on a schedule. It was just something for me to do for fun. But I liked it, and then eventually I started doing it. Like it progressed. Like the first couple weeks that I was going, it was only like two days a week, and then when I progressed, it was like almost 5 to 6 days a week that I was going.
And what kind of workouts did you do when you first started? Were you, I mean, I assume that you weren't hitting people.
Yeah, no, when I first started, it was just basic stuff like shadow boxing, hitting the mitts with my coach, and just hitting the heavy bags and stuff like that. But it was really basic. I had already had a background like with my martial arts and taekwondo, so I kind of skipped a few steps. But yeah, it was pretty basic. I wasn't like sparring yet. I didn't spar until like a couple months after I started and stuff like that.
How does sparring start? Does your coach just decide that you're ready and puts you out there?
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't really push the issue of sparring because, like I said, it wasn't like something that I was like, not that I didn't want to do it, but it wasn't like my main goal, I guess you could say. So, yeah, like one day he was just like, "Yeah, do you want to spar?" And I said, "Sure." And then we just went in there. He put some headgear on me, got my gloves on, and then went in there and sparred.
Right. I've taken a few classes at, the title boxing, and I was really surprised at how different hitting a person was than hitting the heavy bag.
Yeah, it's definitely different, and it takes getting used to. That's why like people when they only have like a little bit of experience and they want to go fight, it's like just slow down, slow down. It takes steps to get to that.
Right, right. So what are your workouts like?
Well, now I work out 2 to 3 times a day, 5 to 6 days a week. And usually in the morning, I'll wake up like 5 a.m. and I'll run at like 6 and I'll do like cardio in the morning. And then I'll do strength and conditioning. Sometimes I do strength and conditioning if I'm like leading up to a fight, which is like weights and stuff like that. And then I'll have like a 2 to 3 hour boxing workout in the afternoon.
Right. And you mentioned doing cardio and strength training. Are those the only cross training that you do? Or do
Um,
you even count those as cross training?
no, I don't count those as cross training because it's pretty much what I have to do with for boxing. But if it were considered cross training, then yeah, that's pretty much what I do. But sometimes, like in the summer, I'll go on like bike rides and stuff. But I wouldn't consider that training. I just consider it fun, like going on bike rides or like other athletic stuff that I do.
Right, right. And do you do yoga, meditation, or any other mind training? Boxing seems really mental to me.
Yeah, it is 100% mental. I actually started talking to a sports psychologist to like get my mental right for like the next upcoming year to 2 years leading up to the Olympics. But yeah, I do yoga sometimes. I want to do it a little bit more. I'm getting more into it, and then I meditate every morning. Well, almost every morning. I try to.
Hmm. Has that helped?
Yeah, it's definitely helped. I'm also like getting into visualization, so it's definitely helped with myself, like just calming myself down and not putting so much pressure on myself. That's what it's really helped with. And then like also living in the moment, not like, oh, if I win this, I can do that. Like just living in the moment, like just try to win this kind of thing.
Mm,
I haven't fought yet since I started meditating every day, so we'll see what happens.
right. What do you think makes a good boxer?
um, Being able to listen and just discipline for sure.
Hmm. And what are your strengths?
I think my strengths are being able to listen, even though my dad might might not say the same. But yeah, I think being able to listen because when you're in like especially like at the Olympic Training Center, you have all these distractions. Like there's sometimes 20, 30 of us. You might be distracted, want to talk to the person next to you. But if someone's talking, like if a coach is talking to you, you have to sit down and actually listen to them, but not just like hear what they're saying, but like listen to what they're saying and understand what they're saying, not like think about other things in the moment. So I think meditation is helping with that also. I think that's probably my biggest strength. And then also like wanting to learn more, I think is something that you should definitely have for boxing, and that's something that I think I have.
And what are you working on most right now? Trying to improve.
Um what I'm working on most, probably the main thing would be to live in the moment and not like think so far ahead. That would probably be the main thing that I'm working on. And then like in boxing, like as far as boxing stuff, I'm just working on like well, it's like inside and outside of boxing, trying to get back to the beginning. Like in the beginning, it was all fun, like just to see how far I could go. And then once I got like on Team USA and I won my first international gold medal, that's when I started putting like more pressure on myself. And then I wasn't doing as well as when I was in the beginning. So now I'm just trying to get back to that, like just trying to have fun with it. Like if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. It's okay, just as long as I gave it 100%.
I think that's so hard is to balance, having goals and looking for the future and, thinking about things like the Olympics, but also not getting so caught up in sort of the hubbub of that.
Yeah, definitely. Because like in the beginning, I was all about just all right, like just shrug my shoulders. Yeah, I'll do that tournament. Yeah, I'll do that, just to see how far I could go. Like I never put any pressure on myself really until the recent like maybe year and a half. I put like so much pressure on myself. I would go into international tournaments like, oh, I won the first one, I have to win this one. Like, I would get nervous, like more nervous than in the beginning. And now, like talking to my sports psychologist, putting the meditation practices and visualizations, it's like helping me to not put so much pressure on myself. Now, like training, not to say that training wasn't fun, but it's getting more fun, like, or yeah, it's getting funner, and it's just becoming a better experience for me. Like I feel better mentally and physically, and I feel good.
Is going to the Olympics and, winning a gold medal, does that feel real to you? I mean, I ask that because you have started boxing pretty recently. I know you've done combat sports for a long time, but, this is a new goal to go
Yeah.
to the Olympics and win a medal.
No, it's still like 100% crazy for me. I'm like, wow, I'm really like visualizing myself on a podium right now, winning a gold medal, or like I'm really training hard right now to hopefully fight in the Olympics in a couple years. Like, it's 100% like so crazy to me, but I'm just rolling with the punches, really.
That's funny. You mentioned the Olympic Training Center. Talk to me a little bit about that.
The Olympic Training Center is awesome. I wish I could live there, but hopefully next year I will. But yeah, it's awesome. It's pretty much like college for sports. So you go there, like whenever they call me, I'm usually there for like a month at a time. So I'll go out there for a camp leading up to a tournament, or sometimes just camp. And when I go out there, it's basically like I said, like college for sports. You got a cafeteria, it's open all day. They make like pretty good food, healthy, some unhealthy because other people live there. It's like some people live there and they don't have to watch their weight. So they have like a bunch of food. And then we train 3 times a day. So that's why I'd like try to keep that schedule here at home. And it's like in the morning we wake up like 7, 8, well 6:37. We do cardio, and then we'll have strength training like towards the later morning, and then we'll have a boxing workout in the afternoon, like around 3, and then we'll have like the rest of the day, and then they try to implement some fun stuff for us, like team building stuff, and we'll do that on like Saturdays, like we'll do laser tag and stuff like that, or bowling, and sometimes we do yoga on Fridays. So it's a lot of fun, and it's also just fun being around people that are at like the same level as you as far as like boxing, because I feel like boxers understand boxers, but then like when you're at an elite level where you're like traveling internationally, training at the Olympic Training Center, like I feel like that's like a different level of understanding each other. So it's a lot of fun.
And I would suspect that there aren't tons of women boxers at your level, sort of just in where you live.
Yeah, well, I live in New York City, so there's a good amount of boxers here, but at my gym in particular, there's only like well, there's a good amount of us at my gym. There's like 4 or 5 of us.
Oh, that's a
Um,
lot.
yeah, well, 4 or 5 of us that like are competing, and then there's a bunch of females that like are just training. So it's a good amount at my gym, and then across New York is pretty good. But in the United States in general, it's not that many, but it's definitely growing because of women's boxing in the Olympics.
So you're on Team USA. Have they been very supportive, and do you feel that you're getting what you need from them?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like even in the beginning, like they were 100% supportive, and even now, like I moved down a weight class from 141 to 132, And they were 100% supportive because in the beginning I wasn't sure like if I was going to go up or down in weight classes because of in the Olympics there's only 5 weight classes and my original weight class wasn't one of them. And so they were 100% supportive. Like we have a nutrition staff there, and I spoke with them about me moving down, and they said it's 100% possible, and just being supportive like that. And also, like if I need a strength program for when I'm at home, I can always email them or speak with my strength coach over there, and they'll send me over a program. And when I'm at home, I never feel like, oh, they forgot about me or anything. I can always email them or text them like videos of me training and they'll give me tips and stuff. So they're 100% supportive.
That's cool. I know that you have a coach at the Mendez Boxing Club. How do you work with him and also the coaches at the Olympic Training Center? How does that work out?
Well, my coach at home is also like 100% supportive. And whenever they call me to go to Colorado, he's like, go ahead, like, go ahead. He never wants me to just stay here because he actually wants me to live at the Olympic Training Center as well because he knows that my goal is the Olympics. So he's on board with that. And he knows like whatever it takes, like whatever the Olympic Training Center like says goes pretty much. Like if they want me to train out there for 2 months, like he'll allow me to go because he knows that that's what it's going to take to make it to the Olympics.
Right, right. We talked a little bit about training, but not so much about what actually happens when you're doing the boxing training. Can you go over that? Like what kind of stuff are you working on?
Well, when I'm at home, it's a little different than when I'm at the Olympic Training Center. So when I'm at home, what I'll do is I'll do like 5 rounds. And when I say rounds, it's like three minutes. So 3 minutes and then 1 minute off is like 1 round. So I'll do 5 rounds of jumping rope as a warm up. And then I'll do 5 rounds of shadow boxing. And then I'll do like 3 to 5 rounds hitting the mitts with my coach. And then I'll do 3 rounds on each bag. So the heavy bag, the uppercut bag, the double end bag, and the speed bag. So that's 4 bags. And then I'll do 3 rounds on each. And then I'll end it off with either jumping rope or jogging on the treadmill. And then I'll do like abs training, which is like sit-ups, crunches, different ab workouts. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I do at home. And then at the Olympic Training Center, we do like a whole bunch of stuff. So we do like a variation of what I do at home, but they'll like throw in some stuff. So like instead of just hitting the bags, they'll throw drills at us. So for example, they'll do like 20 seconds of hitting the bag with speed and then like maybe 10 seconds of power and they'll like switch it. So like that's just an example, but they'll do stuff like that. And we also do a lot of partner work at the Olympic Training Center. So for example, we'll do like tic tacs. So we'll like be standing in front of each other and we'll each like I'll try to hit my partner's shoulder and they'll try to like move out of the way and then they'll try to hit my shoulder as an example. So we'll do a lot of partner work like that.
What do you think about the popularity of sort of boxing exercise classes?
That's funny that you asked me that because I've literally got asked that like the past 3 days. Okay, I think that they are for certain people, like a certain demographic of people. Like, for example, people that only have 45 minutes or an hour of their day that they can dedicate to getting sweaty. Yeah, it's for a certain demographic. Like, I wouldn't go there to train for a fight, that's for sure. And I wouldn't go there if I actually want to learn how to box. But there are certain people who love it and like swear by it. And, I can't knock it. And I actually have done like a Rumble boxing class. It was fun, but yeah, definitely not something that I would do every day. Yeah.
Is there anything that's similar between those classes and real boxing? I mean, is it like sort of a baby way to get into boxing?
I wouldn't say it is because, okay, you're not really learning boxing. They're telling you what to do. Like, okay, I guess if you're doing like a one-on-one class, but it's mostly group classes. So they're not teaching you boxing. They're like telling you, okay, jab, right hand, hook. You didn't even teach me how to throw a hook. So how am I going to throw this hook? Like, you know what I mean? Everyone's just kind of looking around, trying to figure out how to do certain things kind of thing.
Right.
And it's more like just a high intensity. It's like a boot camp, like, the person yelling at you and you're just doing what they're doing, and it's high intensity. And it is fun. I'm not gonna lie, it is fun, but it's not something that I would do for like actually learning how to fight or like even learning how to box. I would just go to an actual boxing gym and get an actual coach who knows. Yeah. And honestly, like not to knock any of the people that are like training there, but most of them aren't boxers. They're fitness enthusiasts or like people that have taken a class or two or whatever, and they go in there and they do their thing. And I'm not knocking it, but yeah, not for me.
Yeah. So let's say, you're starting out boxing and you go to a boxing gym. What are they going to start you out with?
So if they're a good coach, they'll start you out with the basics. So the basics are your stance, like how far apart your feet should be, and what angle your feet should be, how low you should be sitting down. Basically, it's not sitting, but it's like a sitting down kind of pose, I guess you could say. How low you should be, and then where your hand should be positioned. So that's your basics, and then like moving forward, moving backwards, moving side to side, because you can't like move your front foot first if you're moving back. So stuff like that. And then eventually they'll throw some punches into that. So like maybe moving forward, your jab and stuff like that. And those are the basics. And then just working slow, like working slow would be like teaching you your basics and then starting you with shadow boxing, not immediately like hitting the heavy bag and stuff like that.
What about tactics? When did you start learning tactics for a fight?
I started learning tactics for a fight. Hmm. I want to say after my first fight, honestly. Because, well, my first fight, it was in the Golden Gloves tournament here in New York.
And you
And
did pretty well.
yeah, I made it all the way to the finals. And then I fought in the Barclays Center. I fought a girl that's won the Golden Gloves like 8 times. And that was like my first tournament. So I was like super happy just to be in the building. Like it was crazy. But yeah, like I said in the beginning, it was literally just to see how far I could go. And my coach, he's like a really good coach. He's been coaching for like years. Like I've known him since I was like 4 years old. Like we lived on the same block, and he's been coaching like since then. So he's like really good. He knows this stuff. But at the time, I don't think he knew like the potential that I had, I guess you could say. So he was kind of just coaching me just to coach me. And but once I started doing well like with my boxing, he was like, "Oh, like you actually got some stuff going on here." So yeah, like I think, and nothing, I love the guy. He's still in my corner and everything. But yeah, it was like a kind of thing like, oh, like I don't know, like what kind of, do you actually want to do this kind of thing? So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And like, how do you know when to, or how do you make the decision? I don't even know what the right question is, but like, how do you know when to do a jab or a cross or uppercut? I mean, like, how are you making those decisions in the fight?
Okay, so like I guess it kind of comes with experience for sure, but there's like basics. So like jabs, you should always be jabbing. Um like jabs are very important. So for example, they distract your opponent so you can throw the right hand. They keep you busy so that the judges will be like, "Oh, she's been jabbing the whole time." Um, and then yeah, they're just great for setting up other shots. So you can throw the jab as a power jab, or you can throw it not lazy, but as just a distraction. So not so much power, but just to kind of get it out there, kind of things. And it just comes with experience. Like a lot of people in the beginning, they're not jabbing at all. They're just like going straight for the kill with their like right hand and their power shots. And it's like set it up with the jab and maybe you'll get the right hand. So, but it all comes with experience for sure. Like in the beginning, I wasn't jabbing that much. And then, through experience, you learn that you have to.
So I want to switch a little bit to equipment. How particular are you about your gloves and, the other equipment that you use?
So my gloves, I'm pretty particular about. Like, I get gloves all the time now because like companies or like people would just send them to me, but I don't wear all of them because A, I have a lot, but then B, it's like I really need to make sure that my hands are like protected. So for example, the other day I sparred and forgot to wrap my hands up with the hand wraps, and that was 100% my fault. Like I was just so excited to spar. But I didn't notice that I didn't have hand wraps on until after. And I'm like, wow, good thing I had these gloves on because I could have seriously like injured or broken my hand. And that just goes to show like the gloves that I'm wearing, like I make sure that they're good for my hands all the time because you can't make a mistake like that with cheaper or like bad quality gloves. And then the headgear and all that other stuff, like especially and then also my footwear. So my boxing boots, I have to make sure that they're good because yeah, you can get serious blisters on your feet with the drills that we do at the Olympic Training Center if you're not wearing good boxing boots. So
Hmm.
yeah, I pretty much make sure like I'm not saying that the stuff that I'm wearing are like super expensive or anything like that, but I just make sure that they're good quality and they're comfortable for me.
Right. Is there a fit issue with gloves?
Yeah, definitely. So, not so much a fit issue, but more of like a size issue. So, gloves come in like a whole bunch of sizes. They start at like, I think the smallest you can get is like 8 ounces, and then they go up like by twos. So, 8, 10, 12, like that. So, I wear 16-ounce gloves, which is like the normal glove size that you should wear when you're training because when you fight in 10-ounce gloves. So, it feels so much better when you're actually fighting. But sometimes when I'm at the Olympic Training Center, I'll pick up a 14-ounce pair of gloves, and I don't like that because I think it's more like it might be a mental thing. Like I feel like there's not enough padding and stuff like that for to keep my hand protected, and also they're just not heavy enough for me. Yeah.
Right, right. Do you like competing?
Yeah, I love it. I've always loved competing. Like when I used to do Taekwondo, we would compete. My dad would drive us around and we would compete with our martial arts, well, our Taekwondo studio. We would go to these tournaments and stuff. So I've always loved it. And then, like, at the age of 5 years old, I had my first ever, like, karate tournament. And I won a 6 foot trophy. Like, it was the first place trophy in sparring. And it was crazy. Like, we walked into the tournament and I'm like, Dad, I'm gonna win that trophy. I literally pointed out to it. I remember it clear as day, and I talk about it all the time to my dad. But I walked into the place. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna win that trophy. He's like, what do you say? Don't count your chickens before they hatch, or something like
Right.
that.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm like, Dad, I'm gonna win it. And then we literally hopped on the train and we had the trophy with us. It's crazy. I'm like, Dad, I told you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think after that day he stopped doubting me.
Right. Do you have any fights coming up?
I'm trying to get a local fight here in New York, but nothing lined up yet. Hopefully, I'll be having fights in the summer and stuff going into that.
Do you have to arrange the fights? Who does that?
So it depends. Here in New York, I will or my coach will arrange fights for me, and then internationally, um, Team USA arranges those types of fights. Like they'll just call me and say, "Hey, we got like a fight for you," or "We have a position open for you," or whatever. And then they'll line that up. And then for national tournaments and stuff, no one really lines it up. They're just national tournaments set up already. And then I'll either come up with the money to go, well, with my family, or the US, or not the USA, but the New York Metro, which is like it's like the New York Yankees, I guess you could say. Like there's the National League, and then yeah, there's the Yankees. So, anyways, um, yeah, we got the New York Metro that also helps pay for like stuff. Yeah.
So, what are your goals, sort of long term? I know that you're interested in the Olympics.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. It's kind of bad that I'm saying it, but it's kind of like my main goal right now. Not to say that I don't have other goals, like I do, but making the Olympics and then bringing home a gold medal is like my number one like goal of all goals. And then I guess I don't know. I just want to motivate and inspire other people. Like through this journey, I've learned a lot about myself, but I've learned a lot about others too. Like sometimes you just need that push to like do what you actually want to do. Like there's so many people out there that are like just living life, not doing like what they want to do. Like they're so unhappy. And not to say that you have to like quit your 9 to 5 to be a personal traveler or whatever, but just do something that you like to do at least once a week. Like try to at least. Like there are people out there that they love to run or they love to read, but they don't read because of whatever. And I just want to motivate people to just do what they like to do, even if you don't want to be a professional at it, but just do it as a hobby. And that's what I want to motivate people to do. So I don't know, like after boxing, I still want to motivate people to do what they want to do. So I don't know where that's going to lead me, but I definitely want to keep that going.
And how are you motivating people? Like, what do you see as the sort of the mechanism of that?
I think through my journey in itself, like I started only 4.5 years ago, and just through like hard work and I found something that I like to do, and I just kept doing it. Like that's really like my main thing. Like I just found what I like to do, and I just kept doing it, and eventually I started competing, and I just really just went with the flow. But I worked hard to get to where I'm at. And also, it wasn't easy. Like, I'm still going through ups and downs. Like, I'm now on a losing streak right now. So I'm trying to get back on top, but it's all an uphill and downhill journey until you get to the top. So I think that's like one of the other main things. Like, it's not always going to be easy. It's not going to be like, oh, you just started and now you won a gold medal. Like, yeah, but now I'm going through a whole bunch of downs. Like, how am I going to bounce back from this? Like, kind of thing.
Yeah, you've been really open on your YouTube channel about some of your struggles recently.
Yeah, because well, when I started my YouTube channel, I wanted it to be like a real thing. Like I've always loved YouTube since a very young age. Like I've always uploaded stuff, but when I started this channel, it was to show people, a boxer's life, and not just a professional boxer, someone that's been in it for like forever. But I started it like the year that I started competing. So a year after I started boxing in general is when I started the channel. And I just wanted to be open about stuff. And, people ask me, so I don't, people are like, oh, keep it to yourself, keep it to yourself. But it's a real thing. People struggle with, losing, and people struggle with, oh, how am I going to get back on top? And if I'm struggling with it, I'm pretty sure other people are. So might as well tell them about it so they don't feel alone. So yeah.
Have you gotten a good response? And what is your advice for getting back on top?
Yeah, I've gotten a good response for sure. I don't get too much hate, honestly, so that's a good thing. So I've definitely gotten a good response. People are super supportive. And my advice to getting back on top is to get back to when it was fun, because I think everybody had that, oh, this is so much fun, this is just going with the flow. I think everybody pretty much has that in them, that fun moment, even if it's just for a day or a week or a month. They have that fun moment in whatever they're doing. So just get back to that. And then also, like, even if it wasn't all fun and games or whatever, I think for boxing in particular, and I guess you can take this with any sport, look at your best performances and watch them over and try to remember back to that day. Try to remember what you were thinking. Try to remember how you were feeling that day. Try to remember what your coaches were telling you in the corner, kind of thing. And try to remember your best performance and remember that, and then try to implement it into your next fight. Or compare your worst performance in your opinion to your best performance, and see what the differences are, and then go with how you were feeling on your best day, and then try to push that forward. And then also just I feel like it's all about mental. So for example, one thing that I'm really dealing with is keeping my hands up. So for example, I'll throw a punch and I'll bring my hands down. Like I won't bring them back to my face. And that goes back to basics, just to point that out. That is something that you should learn in the very beginning, like something that should be drilled in you. But if it's not drilled in you, then later on it's gonna hurt you. So now I'm dealing with it, and it's all about how you think about it. So my sports psychologist said, don't put so much pressure on yourself to keep your hands up. Like, oh, I got to keep my hands up. I got to keep my hands up. Make it a game for yourself. Like, so a lot of people that are hard on themselves are like usually competitive. So just make it a game for yourself. Like, oh, how long can I keep my hands up? And then make it a game. And then usually you'll keep your hands up longer. It's definitely been working for me. So it's just all about switching how you're talking to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that, I would bet meditation helps with that too, just focusing
Yeah.
on the positive.
Definitely, 100%. Like before I started meditating, well, even just after, I definitely noticed some differences with my meditation. Like, I'm able to like sit still for like a longer period of time. Like, not to say that I couldn't do it before, but now I'm able to sit still and not think about anything. Just be there. And it's definitely helping, like being able to talk to yourself differently. Like if I'm being hard on myself, I'll switch the wording like immediately. Because you're thinking like all day and you don't even, sometimes you don't even notice what you're thinking. And being able to notice what you're saying to yourself and then being able to notice, okay, that's not the wording that I should be using, and like switching it. Even like, um, so for example, leading up to a fight, I would always say, oh, I won last time. I should be able to win this time. But I shouldn't be saying that. It should be like, I prepared well. I did what I have to do. Now let's go into this, kind of stuff like that.
Do you get nervous?
Sometimes I do, but like in the fight, I'm not nervous. But like in the beginning, I do sometimes, but I try not to get nervous. I try to just tell myself like, all right, you got this kind of thing.
Right, right. So you recently announced that you've been signed by a modeling agency, and I find that so, first of all, it's so exciting, but second of all, it's really interesting, sort of this combination of a model and a boxer.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Actually, when I was when I entered my first Golden Gloves tournament, there was a girl, I forget what weight class she was, but I think she was a model first and then she started boxing. So it was like a huge thing, like they were, kind of making a big deal out of it, like, oh, how does it feel to be a model and a boxer kind of thing. But for me, I don't know, like I just got signed, yes, by Wilhelmina. So that's pretty crazy for me. I'm just like, whoa.
It's
Um,
super.
yeah, it's cool, but yeah, so for like the past 2 years, I'd say so many people were coming up to me like in different scenarios. So it would be like maybe the boxing gym or like tournaments or like just going out to dinner. People will come up to me and either ask me if I were a model or like tell me, hey, you should model and stuff like that. And my gym is on 26th Street, so there's a bunch of modeling agencies around there. And so there's this one guy in particular. He would come up to me every single day and say, did you bring your photos to that agency yet?" Like every single day. And I don't know, I never really thought of doing modeling. Like when I was younger, I did take like acting classes and stuff, but I wasn't like passionate about it, so I ended up stopping with that. But yeah, I never really thought of myself as a model. And then someone was like, yeah, just do fitness modeling. Like, that'd be perfect for you. And then that's when I started like, oh, maybe I should do fitness modeling. Like, that makes sense as like at least like a little bit of income on the side. And then last year is when I was like, all right, I'm going to make this a goal of mine. Even though I didn't put like 100% effort into it, I just made it a goal of mine to like get signed by Wilhelmina. And then this year, like, I don't know, I just commented on one of their pictures and then they like DM me back and was like, hey, come in tomorrow. And then it was like,
Whoa.
yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, I would think that the financial aspect is super important. I mean, no sport is cheap.
Yeah, 100%. Like boxing, I think boxing is one of the most expensive sports because you have to pay the gym, you have to pay your trainer, you have to pay for equipment, and equipment is not cheap at all. And then you have to pay for other things. Like to be a top athlete, you have to first of all get enough rest, but you also have to get like massages. Like that's super important, and it is definitely like a luxury, but it's important for sure. And I get the best massages at the Olympic Training Center, but it's expensive here, especially in New York, to get stuff like that, to get like that recovery things that you need. And then nutrition. So yeah, it's super expensive. And being an amateur athlete, you're not getting paid top dollar, especially in a sport of boxing where like men are the most important thing to people. So yeah, like modeling, I think it's going to be like a good supplemental income for me. And I'm just excited, definitely to get the word, not like to just get people to be more motivated. Like, I don't know, like I'm still amazed at how I've been able to get signed. And I just want people to know, like, if I've been able to do this, then you can do it too. So.
Cool. So what kind of shoots do you imagine doing?
Um, Mostly like fitness stuff. So like, I don't know. I guess like I want to do like campaigns for companies like Adidas or Under
Hmm.
Armour, stuff like that. I want to do like campaigns for them. And then like I just actually did a shoot on Saturday with a fitness boutique. It was pretty funny. But they were doing like a boot camp stuff. So I guess they're doing like, those things where you can like follow along with the person,
Yeah.
like work out with them. Yeah,
Hmm.
we were shooting for that. So we did like two yoga classes and then like a boot camp type class. So yeah, it was pretty fun. And then just I guess stuff like that would be like fun and ideal, meeting new people through the journey
Hmm.
and stuff.
It's also nice just, in this discussion of having more representation of a diverse group of people in media and in campaigns like you're talking about. It's really exciting that you've signed up.
Yeah, I'm excited because I think a lot of the opportunities that hopefully I'll be getting with my agency, I don't think I would have been able to get on my own. I think, and an extent. So maybe like a year and a half from now, when I'm definitely on the Olympic team or when I've definitely brought home a gold medal, then maybe those opportunities would come. But I think the earlier the better. So I'm hoping that, I think this is going to be a great experience either way, but I'm hoping that they'll be able to get me some good representation as far as like, maybe being on some billboards or whatever. I'm not expecting it next week, but, in the near future, hopefully.
Modeling sort of makes me think of another quote I read of yours of you saying that you have never really liked public speaking, but you find yourself speaking a lot. I mean, has boxing helped you, learn to speak out? And, modeling is certainly speaking out in a different way.
Yeah, boxing has definitely helped me to speak out. I think just being able, it's actually pretty funny because I think for me, like my YouTube channel is like my number one way of being able to speak out. Like I feel so comfortable in front of the camera and just like talking. And it's funny because like my friends, like they'll try to do YouTube videos and they're like so uncomfortable and they don't like it, but I love it for some reason. And I don't know, I guess that's like my number one way of doing it. But I think with boxing, it's definitely helped me as well because when I go to these tournaments and stuff and, coaches or other boxers, they come up to me and, they start a conversation with me. You can't just sit there all awkward, you just be yourself. And I think that's helped me. I've always been able to do it, but I guess like talking in front of like, 50 people is kind of like nerve wracking. So, yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. You mentioned a little bit in a previous part of the conversation, you mentioned how boxing is mostly male. What are your hopes for women in boxing?
Well, boxing right now is booming. It's crazy. So in literally this weekend coming up, there's going to be a female fight card on HBO for the first time ever. So that's crazy. And then Showtime has been awesome. They've been putting female fight cards on Showtime. Claressa Shields is going to be on there. She's like a great inspiration for me. And then, yeah, so female boxing is definitely getting bigger, but I think by the next Olympics 2020, there's going to be a female fight card on every fight card, and then there's going to be at least females on TV, like I think every couple of months. Now it's like once or twice a year, but I think by 2020, by the next Olympics, it'll be like every other month kind of thing where we're going to be seeing females on TV boxing.
Interesting.
I hope.
It's important to get us on TV.
Yeah, that's like the main thing. I mean, females aren't able to make the money that, they could make in, let's say, MMA. That's why so many female boxers are going over to MMA because they're able to get on TV, which means sponsors want to sponsor them. Companies want to sponsor them because, we can get publicity by just putting, a patch on your shorts. Sure, we'll give you a couple $1,000, but with boxing, no one's on TV. The only way that we can see you is through your social media, and if we actually go to the fight, which limits that to like, let's say 10,000. And yeah, that's not, most companies are like, oh no, we want you to be on TV kind of thing. So it's very limiting. Males are easily on TV with little experience compared to some of the females out there that are really, really good.
Mm-hmm. Is there an organization that's pushing for more women boxing on TV? Like who's making that happen?
I wouldn't say. Well, it's kind of hard. It's like it's the promoter and then it's the channels, the TV stations. So yeah, it's HBO that's putting it on. So that's just huge for, HBO to do that. And then Showtime has been really, really forward with doing that. So they've been putting Claressa Shields on TV every single one of her fights. So that's been amazing for her as well. And yeah, I don't know exactly who it is that makes these decisions, but whoever it is, they need to be making more decisions.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about food. I know that nutrition is important to you, and I would expect, especially since you're cutting weight, how does that all work out?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I do cheat sometimes. But that I feel like that's normal as long as you're not going overboard. But yeah, I do try to stay to a good schedule of eating. So I actually practice intermittent fasting for the most part, which is like when you're eating for a certain amount of time and then not eating for a certain amount of time as opposed to like just waking up and starting to eat throughout your whole day. So that definitely helps for me and it's helped a lot of people for sure. I started doing it in November when I first started cutting weight to get down to 132. That was my first time. So I'm like, oh, let me see how I can get this weight down. And I just started looking up different ways. And there's a whole bunch of different ways to eat. Like there's like the ketogenic diet. There's like so many different diets out there. But yeah, intermittent fasting, it's really good. And I recommend it to a lot of people because just, not to go into the whole conspiracy stuff, but like eating breakfast, you don't have to eat breakfast as soon as you wake up because, first of all, you're probably not even hungry. You probably just need to drink water. And yeah, like people, they're eating so many calories that they don't need to eat because they're like starting to eat at like 8 in the morning and then they're not stopping until like 8 p.m. when you could literally crush that down into like 6 hours or 7 hours. But anyways, get back to what I was saying.
So what is your window of eating? Like when do you start and when do you stop?
I'll start around 11 to 12 is when I'll start, and then I'll stop around 6, 7.
Right.
But it also depends on my like training or like my day. So if I'm going to be out of the house from 11 or from like let's say 10 to 3, then I'll obviously eat something like before I leave the house. I'll eat something like right before. And so, yeah, I just adjust it, but I keep the hours pretty much the same. So like 6, 7 hours is is the time that I'll be eating. And then it just helps me because I don't eat that much anyway. So I'm not like starving throughout the day. I'm eating like pretty good. And then, I just eat normally. Like I'll eat like eggs, oatmeal, yeah, stuff like that. And then for dinner, I'll eat like salmon, a lot of vegetables, fish, stuff like that. I don't eat meat actually, so I guess it's not that normal. I don't eat like pork, chicken, beef, stuff like that, but I do eat fish.
Do you eat during your workouts? Like at the gym?
No, no. I ate one time before a workout, like maybe it was like 30 minutes before a workout, and I felt like I was gonna throw up. So I don't do that anymore. I pretty much eat like the most I'll eat before a workout is an hour before.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do that. But most of the time I'll eat like after my workout. So for example, when I'm at the Olympic Training Center, we eat like I actually eat more at the Olympic Training Center than at home. So when I'm at the Olympic Training Center, we'll eat like after every single workout, and then we'll have like 2 hours, 3 hours in between, and then we'll go to our next workout. Sometimes less time than that, but yeah, we have enough time in between where we can eat after every workout.
And how much work is it to cut weight to your new class before a bout? I mean, are you having to cut 10 pounds?
Yeah, so for me, I'm cutting about 10 pounds, which might be a lot to some people, but it's not that much compared to like some other people that I know that are cutting weight at the amateur level. But yeah, I'm cutting about 10 pounds and it is a good amount of work. It's more discipline than anything, as far as like the foods that I can and can't eat. I feel like that's like a major thing. Like when I'm struggling to cut weight, it's mostly because I just had pizza yesterday. Like you shouldn't eat a pizza station. So yeah, that's like the main thing. And then as far as like working out, like I have to do a lot of cardio. Running is like the main thing that I do, like running and then the Stairmaster, like basically cardio stuff that I can do like to make me sweat a lot and lose a lot of calories. That's like the main thing. And then like it's definitely not for everybody. Like if I could stay at 141, I definitely would, but yeah, I gotta do what I gotta do.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Very cool. I really appreciate it. It's really exciting for me to talk to a boxer and talk to you and with all your exciting stuff happening.
Yeah, thank you. No, I really had a good time and I was really looking forward to speaking with you as well.
Great. Well, I'm certainly going to follow you and keep track of what's up.
Thank you.
Thanks to you for listening. Tell your friends about the podcast. Spread the word about fantastic, strong women speaking up and doing amazing things. Please subscribe on iTunes and encourage people you know to do the same. It really does help more people find the podcast. There are some fun episodes already in the can, so keep listening. Thanks to Agnes Studio, the blog, She Rides Her Bike, Gold Mines, and Leap Strategies for super support and partnerships. I'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode. Bye-bye.